I'm Alan Spears with Occupy Democrats, and another one bites the dust, folks, as Steve Bannon, another one of Trump's slack-jawed lackeys, is going to prison. Now, in the clip I'm going to show you in just a moment, Bannon is currently losing his mind after being told he has to report to prison no later than July 1st. Bannon was actually Donald Trump's first chief strategist during the first 7 months or so of Trump's presidency. Prior to receiving this role from Trump, Bannon actually served as the executive chairman for Breitbart News. And if you're so fortunate as to not know what Breitbart News is, it is essentially a far right-wing tabloid conspiracy news outlet. It perpetuates the most ridiculous lies and claims of the far right and the MAGA movement, and is nothing short of propaganda for Donald Trump and the far right. Now, following his short tenure at the White House, Bannon actually rejoined Breitbart. Now, during his second stint at Breitbart, a book by Michael Wolff came out, and in it, Bannon was quoted as criticizing some of Donald Trump's children, which subsequently led to Trump and Bannon having a huge fallout. Trump, only dealing ever in absolutes, could not handle the fact that Bannon criticized his children or anyone with the Trump name, and because of this, lashed out and attacked Bannon. In response, Bannon disavowed Trump and left Breitbart for a second time. Now, since Bannon left Breitbart for a second time, he's been producing content online and has been sort of a figure and a rallying point for the far right, both in the United States and in Europe. Now, there's a whole laundry list of criminal charges against Bannon, as well as a number of things that he's done and said that are just frankly wrong, if not outright evil. Money laundering and mail fraud are just two charges out of a multitude that Steve Bannon has under his belt of corruption. Now, in addition to these crimes, Steve Bannon actually landed in a bit of hot water and had his Twitter account permanently suspended after he made a series of tweets that seemed to call for the execution of some key members of government, including Dr. Anthony Fauci. Now, in 2021, Bannon was subpoenaed to testify before Congress as they were investigating the attacks on the Capitol on January 6th. Bannon, being the stubborn ass that he is, refused to comply with the subpoena, and in October of that same year, was held in contempt of Congress. This, of course, set the stage and brings us nicely along to what Bannon is dealing with now and the ramifications of his failure to comply with the subpoena. Take a look and see for yourself what this little madman had to say.
I'm not. Get out of my way! Get out of my way!
Okay, thanks. I've got great lawyers, and we're going to go all the way to the Supreme Court if we have to, but I want to say something specifically about the Justice Department. Merrick Garland, Lisa Monaco, the entire Justice Department. They're not going to shut up Trump. They're not going to shut up Navarro. They're not going to shut up Bannon, and they're certainly not going to shut up MAGA. If you look right here, you reporters, in the 2.5 or 3 years we've been here, look at the rise of MAGA, look at the rise of Donald Trump. If the election was held today, according to Harry Enton over at CNN, President Trump would win in a landslide. All of this, besides the major legal issues that have to be addressed, all of this is about one thing. This is about shutting down the MAGA movement, shutting down grassroots conservatives, shutting down President Trump. Not only are we winning, we are going to prevail, and every number and every poll shows that. There's nothing that can shut me up and nothing that will shut me up. There's not a prison built or a jail built that will ever shut me up. All victory to MAGA. We're going to win this. We're going to win at the Supreme Court, and more importantly, we're going to win on November 5th in an amazing landslide with the Senate, the House, and also Donald J. Trump back as President of the United States. Thank you very much.
Lock him up! Lock them up! You're a coup plotter! It's a failed coup!
You love to see the people surrounding Trump getting so rattled and angry when justice comes for them. And shout out to the guy that was holding the sign behind Bannon and was heckling them at the front and back end of his little speech there. Kudos to you, but let's dive into this. Now, the federal judge, Carl Nichols, who, funnily enough, was appointed by Donald Trump, was initially going to pause the conviction as Bannon was going to try to appeal it. But since the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals unanimously decided to reject Bannon's appeal, the prosecutors asked for Judge Nichols to immediately send Bannon to prison. Now, Judge Nichols, having received this verdict from the appeals court, realized there was really nothing left standing in the way or any reason to pause Bannon's conviction. And with that, federal judge Carl Nichols, again appointed by Donald Trump, has declared that Steve Bannon must report to prison no later than July 1st to serve out his sentence. And what a great day it will be. You know, this is absolutely fantastic. This is proof that, once again, all of these people surrounding Donald Trump are nothing but criminals and convicts. Bannon was nothing more than a propaganda machine for Trump during his first year. The lies and misinformation that Bannon has helped create and spread have only served to undermine and damage our democracy, and he should be put away. It really isn't surprising, though, that Donald Trump himself is a criminal and now a convicted felon, and that the people that he would surround himself with are going to act and behave as such. A good president doesn't surround themselves with convicts and criminals like Steve Bannon. It's just a shame that this man isn't going away for a little bit longer, because he is responsible for so much damage to the trust in our media and the trust in our government. It's nice to see these dominoes slowly starting to fall as everyone surrounding Trump is continuously being indicted, being found guilty of the charges levied against them. And you know why? It's because they're all criminals. I don't understand why these people in the MAGA base and the far-right base continue to support these people when they're liars, they're criminals, they're grifters. They don't have an interest in your well-being or this country. How many times, how many cases, how many guilty verdicts do we have to have before these people realize this? Do you really think this is all some conspiracy from the Biden administration or from the FBI or from any number of secret organizations that they love to tote around, rather than just admitting these people are guilty? They are responsible for their actions, and what they did was wrong. Sometimes you have to realize that where there's smoke, there's fire, and that fire, at this point, has spread to the whole damn Republican Party. At this point, it blows my mind that anyone can look at Trump or any of the key leaders or figures in the MAGA movement and not just see criminals, liars, grifters, and conmen. Nearly everyone Trump has surrounded himself or formally appointed within his cabinet have been found guilty of some sort of crime at this point. And you know, I know Bannon said that no jail or prison's going to silence me, I'll keep going, I'll never stop, but maybe we'll get lucky and maybe he'll be found in contempt of something else, or they'll find another crime and that sentence will just get extended a little bit longer so we don't have to deal with him anymore. I absolutely believe Trump is not going to win in a landslide, as if you recall, many Republicans were saying there was going to be this huge red wave come 2022 as President Biden and the Democrats, they were performing so poorly, and that the people of MAGA and the Republicans were going to rise up and the Republicans were going to control everything now. And you know what? That didn't happen. In fact, the rhetoric surrounding MAGA and Trump played very poorly, and those candidates that ran on a message similar to Trump were not elected. They lost. 2022 proved that Donald Trump and the MAGA rhetoric isn't playing nearly as well as it used to. Donald Trump is continuing to degrade mentally and physically, and considering the fact that he was found guilty on all 34 counts against him, I don't think people are up for another round of Donald Trump. But as always, only time will tell, and that is why it is so important for you to register and get out there and vote come this November. Make your voice heard, and let's make sure that Trump and his lackeys stay in prison.